Assalamualaikum, lovies. This is Mariam Alima, and this is What Do You Know About Islam? I have been away. I've been traveling. I've had to go up to Richmond. I've just been extremely busy, so I hadn't done a podcast in quite some time. Also, I hadn't just been inspired. Yeah. But today, I wanted to, while I was in Richmond, I was given the comprehensive courtship manual. And so I wanted to talk about courtship and courtship and mainstream worldly dating. So in courtship, you have a period of what's called discovery. And discovery is used to really get to know each other, the opposite, parties, to really get to know one another in depth. And so, let's see. Why don't you just read what it says? Give me a moment. I haven't punched my holes in it yet, so I can put it in my handy dandy binder. But with discovery, like I was saying, it is the period in which you are supposed to get to know the ins and outs of the other party. And what's funny about that is, so like, you know how I am extremely open. I like to live in truth and transparency because, I think that it's an injustice to the other individual or to whomever, especially if it's someone that you're trying to build an actual relationship with, like a life partner, for them to learn things about you from other people. I don't personally like that, and I never want that to be something that my future spouse has to deal with. So therefore, I'm just honest about who I am. I just like to live in truth. Truth for me is very important. And so is transparent. Like I did hear before that, you're not supposed to brag about your sins, but necessarily sharing your testimony, which usually testimonies most times, have to do with people sharing their sins and how they got to the other side, how they came into righteousness and they're submitting their will to the will of Allah, or being saved, or what may have you. So then therefore they are discussing their sins a lot, but it's not bragging about them. Let's note that there's a huge difference between the two. Anyhow, let's see what courtship is defined as. Courtship is the intentional process in which two people formally decide to engage in discovery to find out whether they share enough compatibility characteristics in crucial areas to get engaged and married. According to Webster's dictionary, the word courtship means the act, process, or period of courting or wooing. Woo, swoon! Woo means to try to get the love of, seek as a spouse, to cultivate. Courtship is the season in which a couple officially and deliberately seek confirmation concerning God's will for marriage by deepening the emotional and spiritual aspects of their friendship. It should not be entered into lightly, but with prayer and counsel, and only by those who share a serious interest in each other. Yes, that's very important. Yeah. So anyhow, I just wanted to talk about the discovery portion, because if you look on, like, if you discover like the beginnings, do's and don'ts of entering to new relationships, people, I've heard it from plenty of people, as well as just people in the world. There's a difference between God's world and the world. But they say people often make the mistake of disclosing too much too soon, and this can be disastrous for new relationships. I don't believe that. I think that because these people who are entering into these relationships, they're not really entering into a relationship with marriage on the mind. They're going into these things, these relationships, just to, for, what's good for now. Why would you want to fall in love with someone and then find out, those things that may be deal breakers? What would be the point in that? Like, that seems ass backwards, to say it lightly. It just seems really backwards. I mean, then it's hard. Then you start to compromise yourself, and who this could be a thing that happens when you take the road of waiting to disclose information, waiting to build a foundation. The thing you then, as the other person who's given information that they may wouldn't have necessarily in the beginning of a relationship, would have been something that would have been tolerated, like, well, I guess, and then 10 years down the road, the relationship could come to a demise, and like, well, later on they did disclose that I knew that about that person, but since I was in love with them, I just decided to deal with that. Well, within courtship and the period of discovery, that's why there's no emotions. It's a friendship. It's starting to get to know one another. So then, if there's something that you feel that's a deal breaker, there's your chance to walk away by disclosing the information at the beginning, rather than waiting until you've. I feel like it's a form of manipulation. I don't know. Like, that's just my opinion. I'm single, so I can't say that I've been successful either way, but nor do I believe that any of my past relationships were the relationships that were supposed to be the ones that were supposed to stick, because one, none of them were Muslim, so I don't want them. Nor were they honest. So, like, my one past relationship, I think I've mentioned this before, misrepresentation. Misrepresenting yourself is also something that, even within courtship or regular dating, you have to really be able to read people, because people will represent themselves in a way that may be becoming to you, because they may be infatuated with the idea of you or intrigued by you, and therefore they want to mold themselves into the person that you think that they think that you want them to be. You have to be really wary of that, because that's I've heard that a lot of Muslim marriages have happened that way, and divorces. I mean, well, they were married and ended up getting divorced because during their courtship process, during the discovery portion, the counterparts weren't honest. Live in truth, people. Live in unabashing truth at all times. Don't try to be something or someone that you are not, because you want to be with that other person. It's not going to work out that way. If you're just honest and they don't accept you within who you are, then that means that that's not the person for you. And you have to be okay with that. Allah has set someone up for each and every one of us. But don't put on a facade and make believe that you have something, you are something that you're not. You're doing yourself a disservice. You're doing the counterpart a disservice. And in the end, the truth, everything comes to light. You can't hide it forever, So I definitely, I say live in truth at all times. I don't know if there's any, I definitely I want to read through this thoroughly. I just got my hands on it. I breezed through it. And I mean, of course, if it was drawn up, there's vital information in it that Mariam wants to ascertain. But as for now, I that may be all that we want to say about courtship. And I felt what did budget, but I do apologize about that. I had a brain fart, so I had to think. So I'm recollecting my thoughts. What I wanted to speak on was about continuing this talk on honesty and living in not you know what that's not what it was about. It was actually about me living in truth and honesty and realizing that on this journey that I'm on with submitting my will to the will of Allah and being in Islam and within the nation specifically, I was thankfully told by a family member that I needed to realize that I cannot take on everyone's journey. Like, I can't expect for everyone to be at the place that I'm at just because I've gotten here. And I'm so thankful that I'm here now, even though for me, when I look back or I look at I can look at a lecture or something and see people from like 2014 and I think back and say, gosh darn, what was I doing? I think back to 2014, I'm just like, if only I was, if it would have clicked for me in 2014, but that wasn't the journey for me. Like that, literally, it was too early. I would have been 5 years too early. Just like Jesus was 2,000 years too early. Of 2,000 years ago. But I need to realize that all I need to do is continue to better Mariam and study and lead and live by example and not expect just because people say that they're believers, because I would have a drink in my hand and be like, Allah knows my heart. He knows my heart. I am a Muslim. I love the Lord. I would, but in all honesty, I didn't see that was not, I didn't see that was not the end of the road. Like, I wasn't practicing. You really have to be a practicer. Darn, somebody just put that on Instagram. Minister Louis Farrakhan said, you can, and this is extremely paraphrasing, but you can, it doesn't matter if you say you're a believer, it's about what you practice. If you're not, and I wasn't practicing it, but I didn't realize that me not putting those beliefs into action and practice, that was I? We're all Muslims, all black people are Muslims by birth, but I'm so thankful that I can say that I'm a Muslim by action and by practice and by doing what I say that I believe. And that feels a heck of a lot better than just saying Allah knows my heart. Yeah, he does. And he's taking everybody on their journey. And it is you know what it is? I was listening to something else. He said that, oh God, believers just need, if you're a believer, then know that all you need to do is rely on Allah. Like, gosh darn, I hate paraphrasing. I really, really do. So forgive me. But, as a believer, know that Allah is sufficient for and he is sufficient for everything. And with knowing that and accepting that, then it takes the weight off it takes weight off me. It's like, guess what, girl? It's actually not your job to make your loved ones get to the point where you want them to be. I know it's crazy for me to have even thought that. But it's because I'm so happy. It's like, come on, drink the water, submit, like completely and fully and truthfully and gosh, the honesty thing. Omissions are lies. And I think that they do a discredit to loved ones. That's going off on another topic. Well, let's wrap this back around. But yes, my family member telling me, helping me realize that you don't have to be Captain Save 'em all. I just do what you're supposed to be doing. Share, study, live in truth, and in total submission. And then everyone will be on their journey at their own pace and time, because that's how he's working it out. He said, everybody, I am just trying to be one of the 144. That's what I want to be. I want to be one of the 144,000, and I pray that I am. And you know what it is? I want it like, I guess everyone in your family can't be one of the 144,000, because that would be, I don't know. I guess that wouldn't be realistic. But but anyhow, I want to just go ahead and wrap up this pod. I pray that you got a little bit of love, light, and clarity with it. So courtship, discovering, be honest, be who you say you are, be a true representation of, you know, who you're going to be in the relationship. I mean, just be honest. You know, we have to, in order to build this nation, for it to be strong, we need strong families. And I hate that, you know, yes, divorce is permissible, but it's nothing that's, you know, we should, you know, have in the back of our mind, like, hey, if it don't work, it's fine for us to get a divorce. That, no. If you're living in truth and being honest and representing yourself truthfully, then we'll have a lot more successful marriages and we'll have a stronger nation. And that's what Mariam and I think Allah wants too. So, love, light, and clarity, my dear people. I love you. Allah loves you. And I hope you love yourself. Peace. And until next time, peace.